Alright Guardian, welcome back to my guide for the King's Fall raid in Destiny. Last time we left off right after completing the Tomb Ship jumping puzzle, so let's get right back into it with the Prove Your Worth phase. After you head up the lift and follow the hallway, you'll come into a large room called the Basilica. There will be a plate in the center and a tall door with many Hive kneeled in prayer by the door. Don't shoot them yet, doing so will activate the next part and this is going to take some explaining beforehand. Your team will need to split into two groups. Connected to this main room are two more smaller rooms with another plate in each room. If you recognize these kind of plates in the smaller rooms, then good for you, because these are the same Annihilator totems from the Crota's End raid, if you've done that. There will be a little orb of energy also in the doorway to these rooms. When you begin, have two people run into each room, one of them grabbing this orb or brand. The other two people in the middle should try to clear out the praying Hive and then go back over to their planned sides. While you are in these side rooms, you will continuously take damage if you are not within the range of the brand holder's aura. The brand holder creates a zone of immunity to this draining, and you will need this in order to control the totems. Once you start, the totems will activate, so you must sprint over to the plate and always have at least one person on the plate. If either of the two totems are uncontrolled for too long, it will eventually wipe the entire team. The brand is key to this entire phase. When you take it, you will hold it for 30 seconds. When that time is up, it will pass over to somebody else who is inside the range of the brand for another 30 seconds. If no one is inside this zone when the timer hits 0, the brand will not pass over and you will have to go grab it again where it was at the start. This means you can take damage, and it's very bad as it can throw off the timing of the encounter completely, and this encounter really is all about proper timing. It means you gotta have somebody standing on the plate constantly taking damage so that you don't wipe, and then that person's gonna die. You have to have somebody else go back and grab the brand. It gets really messy, so really pay attention to your timers. If the timing is correct when the brand passes over, a knight will spawn on an upper ledge in these side rooms. Take them down quickly. I usually like to have a sniper on hand for them. Then the person who has had the brand first will get a new buff on them called Death Singer's Power times 10. The person has to run to the middle room and stand on the center plate in there until all the power is gone. This power is what will open up the door to allow you to get to the next part of the raid. You will have to get rid of all the power. You cannot take the brand if there is anything left on you for Death Singers. Once it's gone, run back to your plate to take the brand again, and just keep repeating this cycle. Here's a simple rundown of how it works on one side. Player A takes the brand, and player B follows them to the totem to keep it from killing everybody, while player C stays back for a minute with another player to shadow shot the praying Hive or kill them off or whatever, and then runs up to join their side's players, A and B. Player A's brand expires and passes over to B. The knight spawns on the platform, and B kills it while A runs up to the middle room to get rid of their Death Singer's power. Then B's brand expires, it passes over to C, then B runs up to the middle while A is running back to take the brand again. Keep repeating this on both sides, and eventually the Warpriest will deem you worthy, and you can go get your loot. Well, that was a bit of a complicated mess, but it's going to get a lot more drastic soon. After getting your loot from the Prove Your Worth phase, enter the Warpriest room. There will be 3 plates for the players along with a large totem in front of each plate. This fight requires a lot more listening and teamwork, so pay very close attention. To activate the fight, have 3 people stand on these plates at the same time. The team should be split up into 3 groups of 2 now. 2 up on left, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the right. The Warpriest will spawn on the higher platform towards the front of the room. Guardians will have to kill waves of enemies, including adepts, remember to be careful with them, while avoiding the Warpriest blasts. Keep killing waves until you hear a loud shouting noise. This is when yellow bar knights will come in. After you take them out, the Warpriest will begin his sequence. On the backside of the 3 plate totems, part of them can light up. Have someone hide on the Warpriest platform or go up middle right beside the wall, which is where the green X's are, and have them tell everybody which totem is lit up. The totems indicate the order that your teammates will have to activate the plates. Once you are on a plate, do not get off or else the sequence will have to be restarted. When the third plate is stood on, the player that stood on it will gain another buff called the Brand of the Initiate. This aura is similar to the brand from the Prove Your Worth phase from earlier. Your team can only damage the Warpriest if they are within the red zone created by the aura holder. The aura holder's job is not to deal damage, but to pay attention to the buff. You will have 5 stacks of this buff, each lasting for 10 seconds. If you kill an enemy, you will go down 1 stack, so you start off with 5, you'll go down to 4, and the timer will reset to 10 seconds. If you don't kill an enemy before this time expires, you will die and the aura will pass over to another random player with 1 less stack than you had. So if you had 3 stacks but you forgot to kill something, it will move over to somebody else with 2. So, around 3 or 2 seconds left, the aura holder must find a nearby ad without walking away from their teammates and kill it. Waiting until the last possible second to kill something extends how long your team can damage the Warpriest. Once all the stacks are gone, the aura will disappear and the Warpriest will call upon the Oculus. Your team must hide in the shadow of one of the 3 totems in order to survive. If anyone is caught in the blasting light of the Oculus, they're gonna die. After the Oculus finishes, the totem used as cover will disappear. A floating red energy will replace the light on the back of the totem during the sequence. After the second totem is absorbed, Taken will spawn instead of Hive. Since there are only 3 totems, this means that you can get 4 damage cycles in before you will fail. For weapons, I like to use snipers here, particularly Black Spindle as it is the perfect sniper for this type of situation. Now you know why people are constantly asking for Black Spindle players for this raid. A Hunter with Black Hole Shadow Shot is also very helpful for damage. First Curse I've heard is very good for dealing with ads if you are the planned aura holder for the team. And Titan Bubbles with Blessing and Weapons of Light are great since the aura doesn't provide any damage immunity like it did during the last phase. Meeting up for damage, I usually go middle, right, and then middle to finish him, but that's usually with a good raid team. Sometimes, if you got a really good raid team, you can get him in 2 or even 1 cycle. But if it's taking longer, just plan accordingly and go with whatever your team is comfortable with. Once you keep fighting him enough, the Warpriest will drop, and you can go up and collect your good old loot. Now for the hard mode version notes. As always, we have the permadeath active, so if you die, you're dead until your team hits a checkpoint or they wipe. For the totems phase, or the Prove Your Worth, the door takes longer to open, obviously, and yellow bar knights will eventually start coming in later waves of enemies. And lastly, but most importantly, anytime the Warpriest absorbs a totem after the Oculus, depending on which totem was absorbed, he will gain a new ability. Left totem gives him the Taken Centurion Axion Dart, the little ball that can trace after you. The middle gives him the Seeking Bolts that Taken Hobgoblins will use. And the right will give him the Taken Captain Blinding Bubbles that he throws all over the place. Choose wisely, Guardian. After you've killed him, the gate behind where he stood will be open. Next time, we'll go over what's behind that gate. But that's all for this video, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.